We're usually the first salon to carry it and offer it. But there's the spider sense thing where I go, I'm not sure. And that's when I sit back and let everybody else do it, let them figure out. And 9 times out of 10, I'm right about it.
There's no such thing as something that has no chemicals that's going to straighten your hair or smooth out your curls. It's impossible. But we can talk about how it's non-toxic, which is different.
Corinne?
Yes.
Corinne?
Yes.
High five from here. Come on. Don't leave me hanging.
Oh my gosh.
The bottom line of that is that words mean nothing in this industry.
This is SkinTalks, the podcast where we go deeper than skin, products, and trends and explore the conversations that actually matter in health, beauty, wellness, and confidence.
We're a mother-daughter duo and the founders of Boutique Skin Envie. After years inside the industry, we've learned that health is never just about what you use. It's about everything you digest, how you think, how you live, what you eat, how you move, what you put on your skin, and how you feel in your own body.
If you're looking for insight, honesty, and a fresh perspective on the future of health, beauty, and wellness, you're in the right place.
Let's get into it.
SkinTalks podcast by Boutique Skin Envie, hosted by Beate and Natascha.
Keratin treatments are one of the most asked about and most misunderstood services in the beauty world today. The promise is gorgeous, smooth, manageable hair. The fear is the chemicals that made them famous in the first place. Today's conversation brings together the woman who rebuilt keratin from the ground up to be safer, and the master stylist who chooses her product in his own salon every single day. Corinne and Dan, welcome to SkinTalks.
This episode is so exciting. This is the first time ever that we are interviewing 2 people, which is so much fun.
That's totally fun.
Yes. So Corinne is the founder of Keraton Works, and Dan Anton, who we've actually had on before, is the owner of Anton Designs, also a master stylist. Beate, your hairstylist, was also my hairstylist when I was younger. So this is really exciting. We're going to talk about hair. We're going to talk about keratin, which I honestly have no idea really what any of this is. So it's really knowledgeable for me. And it's just fun. We don't talk a lot about hair. So I'm really excited for this conversation. Thank you guys so much for coming on today.
My pleasure.
And before we get started, we're going to start with you, Corinne, a little bit. Let's tell us a little bit about your background, how you ended up into this field of work. How did you start Keraton Works? And then Dan will come to you.
So my background is totally not in hairdressing. Absolutely not. My background is in sciences. I have, and in computer science. So I have a bachelor in computer science, a master's in sciences and applied sciences. And I used to teach in college, all that stuff. So it was totally nothing to do with this. I was always interested in hair. But one day I was, back in 2008, I was in Florida, and I am originally from Morocco, so my hair blows up in humidity, and it absurdly blows up in humidity. So I was so desperate. I walked into a salon there, and basically they applied the keratin in my hair, and I thought, oh my God, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me, because then I didn't have to worry about my hair the rest of my vacation. Came back to Montreal, started calling salons and asking if they had keratin, because it's going to last maybe 4 to 6 months. Then what do I do? So I was calling around. Nobody knew what it was in Montreal. So I proceeded to email the company of the product that was applied in my hair, and I asked them if they had anybody in Canada doing it, and they said no. So I said, and at that point I was kind of looking for a project of my own, and I said, would you be interested in having a distributor in Canada? And they were absolutely so they were in Brazil. They said, come to Brazil, we'll train you, and we'll give you an exclusive contract to start, see how it goes. And then I went from there. So I got trained by 3 different hairdressers there with respect to just keratin, and started going door to door and selling it to hair salons. And I've probably taught a good half of Montreal how to do this.
So fun. I love those kinds of stories.
So it went there. And then eventually I was representing that company, Eventually, we'll talk about it later, but it was the whole thing about formaldehyde in the products and how Canada wasn't happy about it. So what I did is I had gone to many trade shows in Brazil. I paired up with a chemist there, and we created a product that was both within the Health Canada restrictions, healthy and works, which was a lot of things to do in one product. And so Keratin Works is my own trademarked formula, and it's been since 2015.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
May I ask a question just to clarify a little something, Corinne? There, you mentioned the formaldehyde era, that period. I was under the understanding that very quickly, because of the toxicity and the poison in the formaldehyde, which I believe came and made a big impact when it was called the Brazilian blowout or the Brazilian smoothing system. And very quickly, like Canada, put the kibosh on that, of which I wasn't surprised because my spidey senses were tingling. I had a lot of clients come in, ladies, a lot of clients. Have you heard about this Brazilian straightening? This is a thing. It's fantastic and all this.
I remember that.
Even my wife, Kim, kept saying, Dan, you got to look into this. And I've always, as a side note, I've always approached this industry as being progressive, but cautious. So when something new comes along, I want to know about it. And if it's something that has virtue, we're usually the first salon to carry it and offer it. But there's the flip, the spider sense thing where I go, I'm not sure. And that's when I sit back and let everybody else do it, let them figure out. And 9 times out of 10, I'm right about it. So from when it finally came forward that there was an issue with the formaldehyde version of the smoothing system, a lot of my clients, so I told them about it. I said, oh, it's a good thing, because they pushed me. And I said, no, not yet. You got to wait. So when that came to the forefront, later on down the line, I don't know what the gap was, Corinne, and you might know because you know the history. They said, we have an issue. People are crying because they love the smoother, but they can't get it anymore. So somebody came along and developed the concept of the keratin smoothing system. And I do want to interject here and say the greatest thing about the keratin smoothing system, we're changing the texture of the hair. Just like when we take straight hair and curl it, we're changing it. But perms are a chemical service. Keratin is actually a treatment. It doesn't alter the structure of the hair. It helps to smooth the hair. So necessity is the mother of invention. And so my question, Corinne, to verify, that is why keratin was invented, because that extreme demand of something that everybody was liking, but was taken out from under them.
So I'm gonna definitely correct you on one thing.
I love it.
Okay.
So everybody, these are all words that represent marketing. Okay, so
Right.
a keratin treatment has been existing in Brazil for 40 years, and the ones with the formaldehyde are keratin treatments. They are called keratin treatments, and they have a million different names. So this is part of the whole problem with people out there. I get so many clients. So can you do a protein treatment on me, or can you do a Botox, or can you do whatever? I need a smoother, but I want a straightener. So all these are words that mean absolutely nothing, because it's all about marketing. So,
I understood.
So really, everything is keratin. Everything that's out there is a keratin treatment. It's a keratin straightener. It's a keratin Brazilian blowout. These are all just marketing. So, so the answer to your question, there was never any gap. The only thing that happened, which happened in 2011, is that there was a big scandal with the Brazilian blowout, which is a company, by the way, and they claimed to have only 0.2% formaldehyde in their products. Now, Canada's limit is 0.2% formaldehyde. So we were all buying it and we were using it, even though it smelled pretty strong, etc. The problem was they lied. So all these companies had actually, so Brazilian blowout, there was a big scandal because somebody did it and they lost their hair and it was like super strong and something, they were sued. That's how the whole thing started. And it happened in the West, in Canada, which is why Canada jumped on the wagon and took everything off the shelves. That was the reason. It was because it had 11% formaldehyde.
Oh, so they
in
Whoa.
just, wow. So we're going to get into that afterwards too, a little bit more of what
that even
what
is.
is that, you know what I mean? Because that's like a whole subject on its own.
So, but the bottom line of that is that words
Marketing.
mean nothing
Yeah.
in this industry.
Well, we know that. Like we
Even
hear it
in the
more and
skincare
more.
industry, too,
Everything
it's
is
the same.
it's a lot of marketing. When you boil it down to like the essence of what it is, it's there's a lot of, it's all the same thing with just a different way to brand it. You know what I mean? Or to market it and to be able to create the attraction towards the product. But that was a great question, Dan, because I'm sure a
And
lot
in
of people.
conclusion, you're saying it's all words and marketing. This is why clients have to be, you got to be, what's the word I was looking for? It slipped my mind. You have to be discerning. You have to do your research. You have to check. Don't take everything for face value.
Yes.
Look, one of the things that, and you know, in salons and spas, well, maybe salons more because it's more of a chatty place. There's lots of conversations that go on from politics and all this sort of thing. And one of the things that I mention from time to time, because they talk about, you know, and the TikTok and the this and the swipe right and the swipe that. I always share with my clients to say, look, I have my phone in front of me, which I don't have on when I'm working, but it's in front of me on the window and the mirror. And one of the things I always find myself repeating, I say, look, you have to make a decision in life whether you are going to be the master of the phone or the technology will be the master of you. So there's ways of getting good information, but there's a lot of ways you'll get fast disinformation.
Yes.
Right?
Got to remain curious.
In my personal opinion, and I'm not dissing, you know, from AI and all this. If you really want to know about what's best for your hair, see somebody, a person. Go see a stylist or for your aesthetic, or someone like Corinne that really knows their stuff and they can answer those questions, because anybody can post anything and say anything about it. And that's that rabbit hole. We start to believe it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the culture today, is that, you know, people look for miracles. They don't necessarily want to do all the homework, and they just want to have the miracle. They want what they want when they want it, without, you know, doing all the homework that's attached to it. Okay. So I'm going to ask the next question for Dan. So you were the first salon in the West Island of Montreal to become Green Circle certified. As a master stylist, you've tried every keratin system on the market. And I can speak to that because you've done them on me. What made you choose Keraton Works?
Well, it's really funny how Corinne and I hooked up. Corinne was, as you know, getting out there. And it was the first time I received a phone call from a young lady. It wasn't Corinne. And she said, hi, my name is X. And can't remember the complete conversation because I've been using Corinne's system for 10 years, if not more. Yeah. And she said, well, we want to talk to you about your smoothing systems. And, you know, have you heard about the Botox? And I'm thinking, listen, I'm okay with my wrinkles. I don't need, but what is she talking about? What's that got to do with hair? And I don't know why, but I kind of fluffed it off. But somehow it circled back from my subconscious to my conscious. And I contacted you and I said, what is this thing about Botox? You said, traditional smoothing systems are a one-trick pony. And being a chemist, which I only found out today, I said, we need more than just one system. And this is what impressed me. It's not just the product, but it's how you apply it and how to use it. So now you have 3 options. And that opened a lot for us.
So
because the original system.
It's like customization.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The original system was, it'd be great on a person who wanted to smooth their hair. But if someone had fine hair, it was too strong, right? And for example. So the fact that we can cover all the bases, honestly, if you want just to control the frizz and you don't want to lose your texture, that's the Botox. If you want to smooth out your waves and curls, but it's not dead straight, so you have a body, that's now the classic. And then I have clients that have like ethnic hair, and we do the super smooth, and that stuff comes stick straight, and they could not be happier. These are the ones that cannot live without the keratin smoothing system. That was the big opener right there.
So it was the,
right
it was the
across
fact that
board.
you had options, that it wasn't a one size fits all, that
Absolutely.
you could really customize
Absolutely.
for the type of hair.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
So
experience is a big part of it.
it's just about technique. It's all about technique. It's
Of course.
the same product,
Of course.
but it's knowing your product. So yes, there's those three techniques, and that's how we present the product. But when somebody gets to know the product, when a hairdresser really gets to know the product, they adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like I always say to the salons, it's a little bit like the recipe for a hair color. You write it down the first time. If it came out too straight, you know what to do next time. And if it's not straight enough, it's not smooth enough, then you know what to do the next time as well. So it's a little bit like adjusting till you get the right recipe for that type of hair.
Yeah. I like
And
that.
I have a lot to add to that from a hairstylist point of view, but we'll come to that at the appropriate time. I don't want to jump in too soon.
No. Well, let's talk about.
Let's talk about keratin.
Yeah. Like, what is it?
Yeah,
It's
like
a
what
treatment.
is
There you
it?
go.
How does it work? Like, give us all the details about what
But
this
it's a
buzzword
science.
is.
Like the science behind it. Like,
So really, and it's going to be I'm going to say it in a very simple terms,
please.
because without giving you all the things. So the basic idea of a keratin smoothing treatment, and that could be anything on the market right now. This is how it works if it doesn't have formaldehyde. Okay, because in the United States they're allowed to have formaldehyde. They don't care about being. Oh yes, the FDA does not control it.
they don't control a lot of things in the US that we control here in Canada. It's night and day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like living in Montreal, and you have all the potholes everywhere.
Oh my God. Can we do a podcast about that, please? Because honestly,
Absolutely.
I'm going to pop off.
It's going to be a podcast on the potholes.
So what it is you need a bonding agent, something that's going to bond the keratin to your hair, because everybody's hair is made up of, it's keratin. That your hair, one hair is keratin. It's molecular keratin. That's what it is. So what happens is over time, your hair kind of starts getting old, breaking down. You're doing a lot of heat on the hair. You're doing color. You're doing highlights. All that stuff breaks down stuff in your hair.
Just the elements also, right? Just the elements as well.
Elements,
Yeah.
shampoos,
Water.
anything you put in your hair. And then there's your hair type that adds to those factors as well. And then there's the humidity that's out there, and your hair reacts accordingly. So what happens is over time, you start to lose bits and pieces of your keratin. So think of it like the roads of Montreal, where there's a bunch of potholes. You're losing all of your streets because of it. There's a bunch of holes, and they come every season and fill those holes. So what are these smoothing systems is basically we're filling the holes, we're smoothing out the holes, and we're filling it with keratin. And in order to do that, you use a bonding agent, and it's usually a protein or an amino acid, which is what's made up in these smoothing systems. That's the bottom line. And you basically, at a high heat, it infuses it into all your holes, which makes your hair a lot smoother and easier to blow dry and all of that.
Shinier,
So
smoother. Like you get, it's like
Shinier,
doing a deep
smoother.
treatment, I find also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's also filling all of your lacking keratin. That's what it's doing.
Okay.
I love that explanation. I understand completely now what that is.
Well, yeah, you just got to use the analogy of the potholes and like you're.
Yeah, and I understand everything now.
Yeah. It's like,
And I even learned something. Sorry? I was going to say, and even I learned something from it. I usually use the analogy of, I guess it's the same thing as filling, because I'm saying it smooths it out, it fills the gaps, it helps the cuticles to stay closed. So I guess I've been saying the same thing.
It's the
I don't want
same
to
thing, yeah.
misinform my clients. It's good.
Yeah.
right?
Just talk about the potholes all the time, and they like that one.
so
I'm going to use it.
So I wanted to
Guaranteed.
ask you, is it like, it's like refortifying kind of the hair? Every
It is.
strand.
That's
It's like
it.
giving it back
Yeah.
what it needs to be whole, structured, and in its optimal healthy state to give the
Right.
best.
It kind of bringing it back to your young baby stage.
Okay, I love it.
That's what it's doing.
And how long does it last for? Just out of curiosity.
So it depends which system you're doing. Because, for example, if we're doing a Botox, you're not flat ironing as many times into the hair as you would if you're doing a super smooth.
Yeah.
So it's going to last maybe 3 months when you do a Botox. If you're doing a classic or a super smooth, you're flat ironing a lot more. So in other words, you're pushing in a lot more product into all the holes. And that will last between 4 and 6 months, depending on whether they're using the right shampoos.
Yeah.
Shampoos.
I wanted to ask about that too. Yeah. There's,
Amen.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of calls saying, what if I use this product or whatever? And I say, well, I'm not going to promote somebody else's product because I don't know what they put in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know what I put in it and what I don't put in it, which is very important.
Yeah.
So what I don't put in it is the sulfates, it's the parabens, it's the sodium chloride, it's all of those things that I know will remove the keratin treatment faster if they don't use the products, the right products.
May I add to that?
Of course.
May I add to that?
Absolutely.
Actually, if you look over my shoulder, we got tons of lines, and all our products don't contain the things that Corinne said. From a chemist point of view, I could suggest any one of her other products, but I believe in synergy. And if anybody has the smoothing system, then I prescribe and make sure that they leave with the shampoos, the conditioners, and the treatments that
right, because
Corinne
they're tried
supplies.
and tested on your system,
Yes,
right? It's
exactly.
a recipe. When you start
Absolutely.
to mess with that, you're gonna have the potholes again. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. But a pothole's much faster. But not only that, you're spending, I don't know, anywhere from $300 to $700 on a treatment.
Yeah.
And then you're saying, well, I can't afford the shampoo, which is doesn't even make sense. You've just spent so much money and you spent
Absolutely.
$35 or $40 on a shampoo that's going to save it for much longer. Which doesn't even make, so that's the bottom line of that one.
Yeah.
That's the old adage, you pay up front to save out back.
Exactly.
Pretty straightforward. And these are the things we try to educate people on.
It's
So I
very
understand.
important. I find it very important. And I often talk about this, even just generally speaking in the beauty world, whether it be in hair salons or estheticians. I think people are doing their clients a disservice if they don't make a recommendation, because for me, it's a practice of good customer service. If somebody comes and spends money with you, you want to make sure that when they go home, they're extending the results of whatever you've done for them, where they've spent their hard-earned money. And if they just leave and they go to a pharmacy and pick up any XYZ shampoo and conditioner or cream for their face or whatever, it doesn't necessarily, it may not work with what they've done for their hair or skin. So it's a disservice to the client. I find it's a form of customer service and having the optimal experience. And, the client at the end of the day is going to make the decision for themselves. And if they decide not to, that's their decision, but at least give them the options so that they can make an informed decision. I really find that's tough, but I know that it's hard to make recommendations. Oftentimes there's excuses and stuff like that, but Dan, I know whenever I've done straightening treatments with you, i.e. Botox or the keratin treatment with you, you've always said, Beate, you have to leave with this. And I leave with it. Like, that's just the way it is. And I've done it multiple times in my life. I think I've been going to see Dan for over 30 years now. So
I was 12 years old when I started cutting your hair.
Yeah, exactly, Dan. So was I.
And I wasn't born.
But I think it's important. It's important because you are spending that. Now, I want to talk about the price a little bit, because for somebody listening to this that would say, oh my, like $400 to $700, that's a lot of money. Why?
That's my wheelhouse.
I know, Dan. You pop off, Dan.
It's my wheelhouse. I want to preface that by saying this. There has been, after COVID, there's been a big change in our industry across the board, those that participate, in how we come up with our pricing. Now, obviously, what are some of the key things? In no particular order: product used, the cost of the product, right? the skill, right? We don't compete with prices, we compete with skill. Experience as well, that's part of skill. And the one thing and then the last thing I want to mention is what I want to go in detail, this radical change in our industry. We are now calculating the prices for our services based on time.
Yes.
It's no longer based on a specific thing. And keratin treatment is one of those things.
It takes time.
Right? It takes time. You can't have a finite amount because the simple math that I use, and I'm just throwing some numbers out there. If for example, we charge $100 for a haircut and I'm going to just make round numbers, and we book for an hour. In 3 hours, I can make $300 because that's my value on a haircut. But if it takes me 3 hours to do a Botox and we only charge $150, well, that's just not
make any sense.
It's not good math, right? It doesn't make any sense.
That makes so much sense.
So this is why, especially Botox, especially when you do ombres or color mapping, whatever you want to call it, it's the time that you're doing it and the time that you may lose. Even during, here's the key, even during process time. I'll give you an example. You can have a client come in, book for a basic color application, as you well know, Beate.
Yeah.
But then you have to process for, let's say, an hour. In that hour, I don't have to do anything. It just has the process. I can service another client. And then when that hour is up, I come back and I finish off with you. But the Botox is very varied because how long is the hair? Corinne talked about it. How much product do you use? How many passes you have to make, and so on and so forth, right?
No, it's definitely a process.
It's a big process. So when a client comes in, if somebody calls a cold call and says, I'm interested in this product and how much and what am I looking at and everything, we tell them, listen, it's based on time. We can't really, I can give you a ballpark, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, whatever it may be, right? But to be more in depth, as you probably know, Beate, one of our signatures at Anton Design is our consultation. And it's just not a 5-minute thing. Okay, what do you want? Blah, 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 blah. We book a full hour, and we'll go past that hour if we need to really establish. And this is one of the things I want to go more in depth to talk about when it's like we talked about the product, but how do we in the salon, teach the client, is this the right for them? Which one should they do? And so on and so on and so forth.
I think it's really important. Yeah, it does. Because I've gone through it myself, and I think that, like you said, a color, but even still, when I'm just getting a color done, you may be off doing something else. You may, your team may be doing other things, but there's always the clock, the timer's on, they come back, they check, they validate, then they move on. Like there's constant check-ins. Absolutely. But when you do a straightener like this, the person that's doing it with you is with you most of the time, because there's so many different steps to make sure that like there's drying, there's washing, there's straightening, there's different steps of the process where it demands full attention of somebody. And for somebody, I also have very curly hair, Corinne, and the humidity loves my hair also, which it drives me crazy. I get very frizzy and curly no matter what I do. I don't want to ever compromise on that, because if you have a treatment done that is not done well by expertise and experience and the time and like a dedicated person that's watching you all the time, you can walk away with really damaged hair, broken hair. And like Natascha, you've had it.
Absolutely.
You had it.
I had it from over-processed
color,
bleach.
But hair is, you have to be careful with it. You want to make sure that you're doing it. So it's worth the money to spend a little bit more to make sure that you're getting a proper treatment, especially when you're doing chemical treatments like color, straighteners, and also perms. We didn't talk a lot about perms, which is completely different, but it's really important to choose the right place to go and to ask the question. So I really love the fact that you do the consultations and that you take the time.
You have to be on top of it.
Absolutely. And
You have to be in touch.
when I teach this to salons, and actually when they do their certification, they do a certification online and they have to do a quiz and all that. The first question is, which step is the most important in the process of doing a smoothing treatment? And the
Oh,
answer
goody.
is
I want to know this.
It's the
yes,
You should be answering
consultation.
it, Dan.
consultation.
It's
That's
of
exactly
course.
what
Oh.
it is.
It's the same with
There is-
anything. Like you really have to take the time. Anybody who's looking for that miracle quick fix, like you have to rethink that. There is no miracle quick fix.
absolutely.
You really have to be curious. You have to make sure you're choosing wisely.
Let's talk about acne because it's not just a skin problem, it's an emotional one. And the worst part, most acne products are either too gentle to work or so harsh they destroy your barrier. Zeo Skin Health's complexion clearing program finds the balance. It targets oil, bacteria, and inflammation at the root while protecting the barrier and supporting healing. It was designed by dermatologists, and we've seen it change people's confidence and not just their skin. If you tried anything else and still aren't clear, start here. Use code SkinTalks15 at bskinenvie.ca. That's BSKINENVIE.ca for 15% off your first order. So my question is every candidate, every hair type suitable for a keratin treatment?
Yes, except somebody who has very damaged hair.
Right.
Say if they come in with completely damaged hair, I would refuse to do
Because
it.
you're using you're using straighteners, straightening irons and stuff to straighten out. So if you've got
No,
That was
I'm
my
going
question.
to call Dan after this appointment and booking an appointment.
you're booking it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
there
gonna
you
do
go.
we're gonna do my consult right now.
Every time I'm in, Dan says to me, Beata, it's time for your straightener. As the summer approaches, I'm
But I
definitely going
feel
to do
like
it.
for summer it's perfect because like you go swimming, you come out. I know for me, I also have I don't have curly hair, but I have very frizzy hair. I
And
mean,
wavy.
I also had
You have a good wave.
bleached hair. Now I don't really have bleached hair. So I think my hair is a lot healthier than it was before. So I think I'm going to test it. Like the summer, my frizz is less intense now because my hair is less dry. But you guys can,
Well, you'll go see Dan. He'll assess it.
yeah,
for
he's going to
sure.
assess.
But I always say to somebody who has very damaged hair, you have to work on getting your hair healthy.
Yeah.
Not 100% healthy, but healthy enough for us to put in the treatment. Because if it's already broken and it's going to fall apart while we're doing the treatment with the flat iron at 450 degrees, it's just done. You're going to lose the hair.
Well, you're also just going to get a bad rep.
Yeah, you can't
Exactly.
don't do it just to do it. Like you have to know. I have a question, but I think you have a question.
Oh, all right.
Tash, did you have one?
No.
Then me.
No, I do have a question because you talked about damaged hair not being able to do it on, but I did want to ask you about white hair, or like what we also refer to as gray hair, but white hair. How is keratin with that?
So the Keraton Works smoothing system, we don't do it on white hair. We have another product that is called the Pinot Noir, which is basically something you can do on white hair without it going yellow.
Okay.
So this Pinot Noir does not straighten because what happens is we're using acids in order to get the keratin into the hair, to infuse it into the hair. So the more concentration of acids, the more straightening you get, but it also mixes with your color and it actually yellows it or strips the color because of the high temperatures.
Right.
Whereas the Pinot Noir has a much lower amount of concentration in the acids, so it only just removes the frizz.
Okay.
And repairs the hair. So that's a separate thing that you were talking about, damaged hair. So I created that product specifically for damaged hair, fine hair, and
Gray hair.
And gray hair.
Okay, beautiful.
Good
That's
to know.
amazing.
Good
So
to know.
everyone can get it done, which is so great.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
at this point, I have 2 lines, which basically covers every hair type.
Beautiful.
Love it.
I love that.
Love it. Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in
Corinne's
the room.
brilliance.
Yeah,
Corinne's
let's
brilliance.
talk about why does keratin, Botox, all these words, why does it have such a bad rep? Like what happened and why is everyone like nervous about it? Let's debunk all of that.
We're going to go back to the whole time of the formaldehyde era. And it really stuck. So if you look up things on the internet, you're going to
Formaldegate.
It's formaldehyde, exactly. So it's basically, you're going to see people having issues, that they had hair loss, that they had all this stuff, but all this happened. First of all, there's two reasons this will happen. A lot of these issues happen. One is because you had the wrong technician doing it.
Yeah,
So
always.
that's the
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
So,
Amen, sister.
so that happens.
100%.
They don't follow instructions. They don't know the product. They're going to do whatever they want to do. Very often I get hairdressers who call me and they basically said, well, I did this and the hair didn't work. The smoothing system didn't work. And then I start asking the questions. Did you do this? Did you put it at this heat? Did you? And then we find out that they didn't do what they were supposed to.
So they don't follow protocol.
That's
Yep.
it.
You have to follow protocol.
To follow protocol. You have to get to know the product. Even if you have followed protocols, sometimes it could be anything. Their flat iron broke down in the middle of, not broke down, but the heating elements broke down, and it's not heating enough anymore. So
Or you
very
tripped
often,
over the cable and you unplugged it by mistake.
we don't know. It
my
could be
God.
anything. So
Tragic.
there's a lot of questions. That's the number one. Number two, well, number one is that they really had all those problems with the formaldehyde, and that lasted a couple of years. They took things off the shelf, especially here in Canada. They literally took everything off the shelf. And I mean, my first product was taken off the shelf. I thought in 2011, I thought, okay, I'm done. It was 3 years with the products that I was representing. And I was saying, okay, the company's done. I'm not doing anything. And it's only after I said, okay, let me try with a chemist and see what we can do. So, but because of that, there's remnants of the bad rep.
Yes.
Yeah, always.
There always will be, though.
So, and then.
But can I
there's
just ask
also-
you, what does formaldehyde in higher concentrations do to the hair?
Good question.
It straightens it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson about formaldehyde.
Yes, please.
How it happened
Yay.
with keratin. So it really started a little over 40 years ago. There was basically a woman who died. This is all in Brazil. And what do they do with, unfortunately,
Corpses,
dead bodies?
yeah.
They put them in formaldehyde.
Mm-hmm.
Before they eventually, that's what they used to do.
Okay.
So, so this coroner put this body there, and this woman, Brazilian, has ultra curly hair. And when she was put in there, the hair turned straight.
Oh my goodness.
That's insane.
So he said, wow, this is a market that we can maybe work with. He paired up with a chemist, and they created the first formaldehyde smoothing treatment,
Okay.
keratin treatment.
Okay.
Can I,
He really did a 360,
I'm
this
not-
guy.
this whole embalming thing, but anyhow, what did they actually, hold her by your ankles and dip her in it? I thought the formaldehyde was one of those
Oh my
things I see in all the horror
God,
movies where they put it in your veins or what. How did it get on the hair?
I really wasn't there, but the
I was
truth
gonna
is
say,
that's the history.
She's like,
So Dan.
I wasn't there. I don't want to be there.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God.
so that's how it came about,
Dip
which
it a
is
few times. Oh,
very
look at that.
interesting.
So then, okay, so it straightens the hair, but why did it become so dangerous? Why was it taken off the shelves in Canada?
So formaldehyde is okay as a preservative up until a certain amount. But what happens is when you start putting it at high temperatures, it creates a gas that's very toxic. It's
Okay.
a carcinogen.
Okay.
So that's really what it is. So at 450 degrees, when you're passing a flat iron, and it was a lot more for the hairstylist
I was going to say,
than
yeah.
it is for
Yeah.
the client.
The fumes.
Because if they're doing them all the time, the fumes, they're inhaling them. And
Yeah.
it's been shown that it's a very strong carcinogen.
Okay. So, but was it breaking the hair also at the same time with the heat?
So it depends on how much formaldehyde they were putting in there, and depending on what other things in the formula. So sometimes it broke the hair, sometimes it was hair loss. It was such high levels that there was hair loss. So that was the big scandal.
Right.
But back out west, it was out in, I think it was in BC that this
Okay.
happened.
Very interesting. Okay.
So now there's like Health Canada put in a like baseline of like how much you're allowed to put in your product, and then
We're no longer allowed.
no
No
longer
longer
allowed.
allowed.
Okay.
So what is Keratin Works using as a replacement for formaldehyde to have the same effect?
So it's a different kind of science.
Okay.
It's not the same as formaldehyde, because when it was a formaldehyde product, they did put keratin in there, but what it did was the formaldehyde itself would straighten the hair,
Okay.
Right.
and it would get pin straight. It would also coat the hair with the keratin molecules that they had in the product. But now the way it works is you need an acid, which is the bonding
Okay.
agent,
Yes.
which
Yes.
basically tacks on the keratin as an acid. So there's really, if I'm going to kind of debunk everything as
Yeah,
far
please.
as what's out there, they're literally out there in all the products. There's two different of acids that are being used out there.
Okay.
There's glyoxylic acid and there is carbocysteine.
Okay.
There's only two. That's why I only have two lines, just so you know.
Okay.
There's nothing else that's out there. It's just a matter of levels of how much glyoxylic acid or levels of carbocysteine.
Okay.
So the Keratin Works system, we created the system such that we put in the highest concentration of glyoxylic acid while keeping it stable. So the maximum, which is why we are able to do the customization with less passes of flat iron, more or less, more heat, less heat,
So you can
etc.
customize it really.
So we customize. So we put it at the highest level while keeping it stable. The other one that I have, which is the Pinot Noir, which I told you about, is basically based on carbocysteines. Carbocysteines is a mixture of a small amount of glycolic acid and other proteins and amino acids. And it basically does not go so high. You can put the flat iron at 480 degrees and it still won't straighten as much.
Okay.
Because of the level of the of the acids in there. And that's really the bottom line. So when they give you there's a tanninoplasty or there's a protein treatment and there's all the different names.
It's marketing and it all boils down to the same thing.
They're all based, and anyone who knows about those ingredients, they just look at the bottle and they'll say, oh, this one is glycolic acid and this one is carbocysteine.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Interesting.
I have a supplement question to this topic, just for any listener who might have seen every alien movie and see acid spew out and everything else. To make it clear that acid's it's not necessarily a bad
No,
thing.
that's
Yeah,
it.
no.
So they say, oh, you're putting acid on the hair.
No.
Maybe your chemical background can maybe explain why it's not
So
a
it's
dangerous thing.
It's not the acids that we see that like
Burn.
you say in your movie. An amino acid is a protein.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
That's what it is. So it's different types of proteins. So it's basically amino acids. That's what it is, and different levels of it. I won't go into the molecular.
No, but it gives a good overview of
it's a protein. It's basically a protein, and so is keratin. Keratin's a protein as well.
So I want to talk about, I've often referred to like clean products being used, like clean, this Botox is clean. You don't have to worry about it. What are your thoughts around the word clean? It's become like this marketing buzzword that everybody's talking about in relation to this process, this chemical process.
Yeah. So my biggest pet peeve is when people ask me, I want a non-chemical
Or non-toxic or
Yeah. It's
non-toxic. Yes.
Yeah.
Non-toxic is different than a non-chemical. So they say I want something that's like
clean.
smooth my hair, but not even clean. I don't want chemicals.
Yeah.
I don't want a chemical. And I say to them, I don't know where you've been, but there's no such thing as something that has no chemicals that's going to straighten your hair or smooth out your curls. It's impossible.
Yeah.
But we can talk about how it's non-toxic, which is different.
Yeah.
Non-toxic meaning Health Canada allows a bunch of things into ingredients. For example, like if you're going to do your nails, there's formaldehyde in your nail polish. People
And
don't
many
like
nail polishes. Yeah. Not all, but
yeah.
many. Yeah.
So I mean, I see this because when I had to, so Health Canada has what they call a cosmetic ingredients hot list.
Yeah.
And in that hot list, it shows you all of the ingredients that are either restricted or forbidden.
Yeah.
So there's two lists actually.
Yeah. I've done it before.
And
I've gone
yeah,
through
so
it
you
before.
know,
It's a nightmare, but
you know what
anyways.
it is. So you know what it is. So basically, what we consider non-toxic is what's within the anything that's not in those lists,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, of course.
And in the restricted list, it's the levels of whatever they're saying you're not allowed to have anything higher. That's what non-toxic means.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the Health Canada definition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a personal definition may be, you know, I don't want to inhale any smoke. But that's impossible when you're doing a keratin smoothing treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Impossible. So because right now you're going to pass a flat iron at 450 degrees, it's going to
have it's
Yeah.
going to mix with it's a chemical reaction that's going to bring out the smoke.
Yeah.
There's
It's
nothing.
the vapors. Yeah.
absolutely. You just want to
Aerosol.
make sure what you're inhaling is
So
Not toxic.
and we get also the other thing is I want an organic product. That's the other big one that people are asking for. And it's virtually impossible to make an organic keratin smoothing treatment because right away you are putting chemicals in there and they're man-made. So that there's no such thing as an organic product. It's impossible.
okay.
You can put in like organic, but it's a hard one because organic keratin would be considered something like using the keratin from the sheepskin, from the sheep wool. That's how you would create it. But in order to do that, you're going to do a process in a manufacturer that is not going to be falling under the organic
Yeah, it's very
way of
difficult.
doing
Yeah.
things. So it's an oxymoron.
Yeah.
That's really
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. That's
Yeah.
good to know. And Dan, from your perspective, like from where you started, because you've been doing this for many, many years, where it was like the formaldehyde era to where you are today, like what have you noticed behind the chair kind of thing in the progression of this particular subject that we're talking about today?
Well, I mean, we never touched, like I said in the beginning, we never touched the formaldehyde.
You never touched anything like
products.
that?
No. I saw, like I said, spidey senses. I saw the writing on the
Okay.
wall.
So even before you were introduced to Corinne, you didn't touch it?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay. So it's
Not at
only,
all.
it's
Absolutely.
like, I know we talked about this earlier. It hasn't really been on the market that long. It's really a relatively new development in hair, right?
Yeah.
absolutely. So in 2011, there was the whole formaldehyde
Yeah.
scandal.
So it's not that long ago.
2011, it was all taken off the shelves in Canada, not in the States, in Canada
Yeah.
only. In Europe, some of the European countries do it as well. And you could not bring in anything that had formaldehyde in it. And then I would say between 2011 and 2014, there were a lot of products out there that didn't work. They were without formaldehyde and they just hadn't gotten there yet.
Okay.
So
Right.
around 2014, it was a big process even for me as I was developing it because we went back and forth. I went back and forth with my chemist for, I would say, 4 to 5 years to perfect it, to perfect the result, to perfect the techniques, because it's not just about the product, it's also how you're going to use it.
It's the protocol too,
So,
right? Like what's the
it
right
is,
recipe?
absolutely.
Yeah,
So
that takes
I
time.
would say 2015 was when we had it almost 95%, and then slowly over the last 10 years we improved
Tweak it.
as much as
Yeah,
possible.
and you just
Tweak it.
improve it. Amazing. So
Actually, I have a question.
yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead, Dan.
Based on that, being a stylist, having a salon and using your product, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I've
100. He
seen
said
a
100.
lot of things come along that would be, reinventing the wheel or a new product that was revolutionary. And I'm not going to go down the list. And every so often, and for me, the last big thing was the keratin smoothing system, right? Is this, and then I'm thinking about the case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Is it really like, I don't want to say peaked out, but it's so perfect. Like, can it be improved, or do you see anything in the future as a chemist that?
Good question.
I think everything could be improved. So in order to keep up with it,
Right.
What I've done is actually I've contacted like the top, usually every year I actually contact the top 5 keratin treatment companies and have them send me a sample, and I try it on my clients. And if there's something that bugs me that they did better than I did, I
Right.
talk to my chemist,
Fair enough.
I send it to her, and I say, fix it.
Okay, that's
And
good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So that is part of what I do. So once a year, that's what I do. But I have to say that in the last 5 years, there has not been a product that beat it.
Yeah.
Good.
So
good.
it's like saying, you reach a plateau.
So we're
You
kind
can
of
refine it, but there's not much left
we're
that can be
reaching
done.
there unless they find a completely different, completely new technology. I think we've kind of plateaued, as you say.
So
But that's
as
it.
an operator, and in this particular podcast, I'm really the bridge between what Corinne does and the clients, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's in there. So to be devil's advocate, if a client said to me, "Oh, do you think they'll ever come up with something that you don't have to use a hot iron, something that's like cold fusion, something that can be done in an hour?" Knowing chemistry and knowing the structure of the hair, really, it's
Not
like
possible.
you said,
I get
not
that question.
possible.
I get that question at least once a week.
Ha!
I do. I
I'm
get
not
that.
off the mark. Yeah.
Are we going to make something that we could, never mind 1 hour, they would just want to put it in their hair and
Or
then
do it
wash
at
out.
home.
Yeah.
They want to be able to do it at home.
That's another
You know,
thing.
that's another thing that we
That's
have. I
another
don't want to
thing.
do it in the salon. So, and that's dangerous. Like
Yeah, no.
do it yourself at home kind of things. I'm not a
Yep.
big fan when it comes to anything like this
Anything.
because it's just too
I will-
technical.
I agree. I will never sell anything to anybody who's not even certified as a hairdresser because I don't want those problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think part of the problem when there was the formaldehyde, there were people doing it at home and they were inhaling that
Yeah.
stuff.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
That's
great.
scary.
I'd like to sort of put something together for the listener, whoever's watching this. And what I want to do, I want to preface it by saying this: in our industry, the hair industry, what do we do to hair? Well, we wash, we clean, we treat it. We cut and style it. We change the color, whether it's a base color or highlighting, anything like that. We change the texture, which is what we talked about today.
Yeah.
Right. And then ultimately all those things together, well, we style the hair and we have the end result. And we cut the hair, if I hadn't forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
Of all the skills, the most difficult skill still, in my opinion, is the cutting of the hair. One of the reasons is if you cut it and you hear the hairdresser say, "Oops," you can't put it back on.
Oh my
Yeah.
So
God,
that's a little
trauma.
We
intimidating.
don't want that.
However, of all the services, the most complex and the most difficult is the texture services. And that would be perming or smoothing.
Yeah.
And here's why. Haircut. I'd like to have a bob. Pretty simple, straight. You go, how do you feel? Do you love it? Yeah, would have liked it a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, a little bit easy to fix. Even a color could be a little lighter, could be a little darker. Maybe I want more
correct.
pieces in after, and so on and so forth. But, and I've always said this I want to preface it by talking about perming. Too many factors are involved in it where something could be misjudged and go wrong. Type of hair, right?
Mhm.
Condition of the hair. What solution do I use? What size rollers do I use? How long do I leave it on for? All those things are could be like the weak link. The smoothing system has the most difficult, Corinne, is the smoothing system. As a stylist, you'll understand that. And she mentioned in the beginning, the difference, all those things apply, the type of hair, all this sort of stuff. But the thing that is even extra on smoothing, when you do a perm and you're processing, imagine, rollers on the head, you've put the solution. How long do you leave it on for, if I hadn't mentioned? So now you put a little timer for 5 minutes and you can actually check and see if it's processed properly.
Yeah, you can check the curl.
The one thing you cannot do with the smoother is you can't go back and say, oh, was that left on long enough or did I make enough passes? Which is why, and this is what I wanted to say, the consultation is so important. And more so, you talk about doing it at home. It's everybody has to gain experience. And like Corinne said, you do it, it could have been a little bit more, a little bit. We all have to experience it. We have to do it a little bit. We have to find out.
Sure.
If you take the course, if you have enough experience in general with hairdressing, you reduce the chances. And I always like to say, the goal is to come in at worst 10% short of what you wanted to create, right? Absolutely. Because if you mess everything up, let's say using a perm, you took the wrong size roller, you left it on too long, you didn't judge the texture of the hair,
and
you didn't use the product, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of things, right? In the end, that is why you have to find someone who's got the experience, the know-how, and that's what you would discover when you sit. And I know I'm not the only one that uses Corinne's product. She's got a lot of people that use it, and I know through the grapevine, very experienced, very successful. They know what they're doing. So this is not like, I'll try a haircut or a color. You really need to know someone who has the background and the skill and the experience of many, 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 many applications.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think that's very good, Dan.
That's key.
Yeah,
that's key.
Personally know somebody who did a perm once and it was a disaster.
Oh my God.
And her hair was elastic.
It fell off.
After.
It fell off.
Her hair fell
off.
It
literally fell off.
Terrible.
And it was shocking.
It's my best friend.
Goes out.
No, she literally lost her hair.
Yeah, but so like the thing was that when you do a perm, from my understanding, you're not supposed to do it on a bleach that was done within a certain time frame, I think, or something like that.
0 time frame. Bleached hair cannot be permed, no matter what solution
and that's what
you use.
happened. She was bleached, she was blonde, and they permed her hair.
It was a disaster. I saw pictures of it recently. I went back in time and I was like, damn, girl. That makes me question, can you do the smoothing treatment like keratin on bleached hair?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. So one of the things, so along the way, as I was doing, that's the reason why I keep doing it, because then I see all sorts of cases as I'm doing it. One of the things that keratin does, obviously, is turn everything orange or yellow. So that's what it does. So all the blondes are just too scared to do it.
Right.
So I've created a concentrated toner that you can put into the keratin, mix it in, and then when you apply it, it's already in there, so it prevents the orange and the yellow from.
So you've thought of everything.
So you've thought of everything.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Really, these are all things that came with time.
I know, but it's because you're also using it, and you have the experience of use. Like you learn things through doing things, right?
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
Type of hair. Yeah, I've been through like many cases. So
my question.
Never stop problem solving.
So my question next is, like, obviously there's different levels of how straight you want to go, your different hair types. Like, so let's say, for example, somebody comes in, like, can you like curl your hair after if you do like a straightening treatment? Like, is somebody coming in because they want straight hair only, or is somebody coming in because they want to have like less relaxer, frizz, or like, can you do hairstyles once you do this treatment? Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you're somebody who already has like not so wavy or curly hair, and then we do it, your hair is going to straighten, but you're still able to add in the curls with a flat iron after. You're able to do all your it's a little bit harder, especially at the beginning. So it will not be perfect. It will fall a little bit, especially in that first month. But as you're washing it out, it's really magic.
Yeah,
it really
it is.
You can do whatever you want with it.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to come and
great.
do it again. Okay, so this has been awesome.
Yeah,
so
we've learned
we
so
always,
much.
I love it. I love this kind of stuff.
I'm literally going to call Dan.
I know.
I'm doing it before I go on vacation. It's going to be the best.
Okay, good. We always close each episode with some signature questions, and these ones are pretty easy. We're going to ask them to each of you, and just give us like
rapid
fire,
questions.
like
so
a
whatever
rapid
comes
fire.
first to mind. So what is one thing to start doing this week? This is obviously hair edition.
Use less heat.
Especially if somebody's hair is chemically treated, especially colored, wear a hat.
Oh, I love that. Never thought about that. So less heat
You know what?
and a hat.
As a matter of fact, and the reason why I say that is, and Corinne touched on, using the right product when you have the smoother, it lasts longer. Mm-hmm. The thing that fades colors more than anything else, more than an alkaline shampoo, are the UV rays. Yeah. And an interesting experience, summers where we have hardly any sun and it's hazy, my clients' colors fade more than in it's a hot, sunny, hardly any rain summer. Because when it's hazy, nobody wears a hat.
But there's still UV rays.
But the UV rays don't know that. They go through the clouds. And when it's sunny, they hide underneath umbrellas and awnings and stuff.
I'm going to add to that because I get the question of, if I'm going to go to the ocean, what do I do with my hair, right? Because they're afraid they're going to lose. What takes out the keratin is salt. So that's a big one.
Okay, so that's good to know.
I want to go swim in the ocean, but this is true also for color.
Okay,
so
that's true.
It's exactly the same thing for color. You need to protect your hair. One of the things that I always say, but you wet your hair with regular water first before you go out there. Then you put in either a leave-in conditioner or a conditioner or a mask to close your cuticles, and you put it wherever you have color also. And when you go into the ocean or the pool or wherever there's chlorine or there's salt, you are protecting your hair from both the sun, the water, the salt, all of it.
Okay,
I love it.
Good to know.
Corinne,
Yes.
High five from here. Come on, don't leave me hanging.
Oh my gosh.
I want to add to that. I actually want to add to that. There's some people that will go into a chlorinated pool or an ocean, right, where there's salt.
Yeah.
And then imagine you're in the ocean, their hair is wet and everything. Then they walk to their towel and they start sunning themselves. And that's being fried.
Yes.
And I tell everybody, when you go to a club or anything, they've always got freshwater showers because you want to get the sand and everything off your feet. I say, then a client says to me, well, when I come out of the ocean, I put a conditioner and everything. I said, no, you're sealing the salt and everything into your hair. Go and rinse your hair with fresh water. Wow. Get that salt off.
I won't be going in the ocean
off.
Anytime soon.
Then put your conditioner. And wear a hat and sit under a palm tree.
Okay. So that's what we need to, that was kind of like start and stop all at the same time. So you answered 2 of our rapid fire questions. I'm glad you guys are following the rules so well. What is one thing every client should ask their hair care professional?
Am I going to need to take a loan to pay for your services?
Okay.
I don't know. I can't. What should they ask?
How long have you been doing this?
That was going to be my answer to that. But do you want a reference?
Yeah.
Like a reference? Like, do you have any references, you mean? For somebody else who's done it, so you could ask it. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's good. I didn't think about that.
Like, how did you hear about us or hear about our salon?
In general, the clients come with word of mouth anyways, but that's
yeah. Good.
I love it, guys. Thank you so much. This was so fun.
I love doing it. The 4-way here was very fun style.
Yeah.
It was good. Neat. Yeah. It's kind of like
I knew it was going to be anyway super fun because we have Dan.
Dan, we love you.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to Skin Talks.
If this episode inspired you, taught you something new, or just made you feel seen, please share with someone you love. And if you believe in thoughtful and empowering conversations that help you make better choices for yourself around your beauty and wellness, please rate and review the show. It helps us to grow our community, and we deeply appreciate it. Because this isn't just about skin.
It's about claiming your beauty, feeling strong, informed, and at home in yourself.
See you next week.